Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode. I am really happy to be here today on a summer day, no less, with Lou Wilson. So, hi, Lou. Would you like to say a few words first?
Hi, I'd just like to say, firstly, I'm so happy to be here, and it's sunny over in the northeast of the UK, so that's great. Yeah, really looking forward to chatting to you today.
Oh, me too. Love getting to meet new people and get to the good parts because that's one of my favorite things about this podcast, that we sort of did the weather now, and now we can dig in and
Yeah,
dive into all the
absolutely.
good stuff. So that was enough small talk for now. So tell us a bit about who you are. What is the essential Lou Wilson?
So I am a solution focused hypnotherapist,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also an occupational therapist. I've worked in the NHS for 20 years. I'm currently working in palliative care,
Mm-hmm.
which says a little bit about me. I've always tended to end up in the caring professions.
Yeah.
So I also I've got lots of rescue animals as well, and I love
Mm.
my animals. I love the outdoors, and like I say, sort of working with people and on a deep level is something that I really adore.
Yeah. I was thinking when I read, when we connected, that you're in palliative care, I was like, ooh, I need to hear more about that because as a sensitive person, I was sort of going back and forth because in one way it might be even harder, but I mean, for the people on the other end, I think it's perfect to have that sensitivity.
So I think I completely. It can be quite hard because it can be, in some
Mm.
ways, you give a lot of yourself, but I think in general it's outweighed by the positives, and that's
Mm.
where my sensitivity really comes in as a superpower, because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm able to sort of meet people from different walks of life, and obviously going through the most, what can be an incredibly difficult time and is always a
Mm.
very sad time, and be able to connect with them
Mm.
and really work with them in partnership and form some sort of like amazing relationships with people. And actually it's a real privilege to be with
Yeah.
people as they end near the end of their lives,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to help them make the most to live
Yeah.
as much as they can in the time that they've got left. So
Mm.
that's amazing, and I think that my superpower really helps me there, because quite often when I'm at work and there's a bit of a challenging situation or a
Mm-hmm.
difficult moment comes up, everybody's like, oh, get Lou, send Lou in.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, so I suppose the challenge for me
Mm.
is that, because it's like, oh, get Lou, she'll be good at this,
Mm.
then a lot of that stuff comes my way, the more sort of challenging
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. But I think it's really beautiful what you're saying, because sometimes there's this idea that sensitive people, oh, they're fragile, oh, they're so sensitive, we have to, they can't handle things. But the more sensitive people I speak with, the more I see the strength we have. And
Absolutely.
right, because how many could be face to face with someone, knowing that this is so near the end, and just be in that, be with that, instead of feeling like you have to hide or so.
Absolutely. I mean, I've recently had some conversations with a patient about leaving his memories behind for his grandchildren,
Hmm.
and talking about that. And obviously that's difficult because you
Yes.
can't shy away from the fact that he's not going to be there, because that's
Hmm.
why he's doing it.
Yeah.
And to sit in that alongside
Hmm.
somebody. And recently with my hypnotherapy, I've been working with somebody who lost his wife very recently.
Yeah.
And what, I was able to feel comfortable and it made him feel comfortable to be able to
Yes.
share, that loss is still a painful loss whilst we're working on the future, and it's not something that needs to be, hidden away or not talked
No.
about. And actually, yes, some things are upsetting and we need to feel those feelings.
Yeah.
So as sensitive people, sometimes, I think we've got a head start. We do feel those feelings, haven't we?
Yes.
And actually, although I'm sensitive, what I have noticed is that, sometimes I will, get upset about things in my personal life or whatever. But actually, when I look back over my life, and I'm sure my husband will back me up on this, is that I'm incredibly strong and determined as well. So a real strength alongside that sensitivity as well.
I think sometimes that strength actually comes from, like you said, we had a head start. We have already had those intense feelings. Maybe, losing a pet as a kid, or even smaller things might have had that impact on us that others might feel when they're losing a loved one, or so maybe it's the intensity of the emotions. I don't know, but
and I think sometimes, as well as sometimes I will say to people, they don't want to be upset, and I'm like, no, it's okay to be upset. It's okay, and you're not going to upset me by being upset, and we need to not hide those feelings. So when when I was talking about the gentleman who he's got grandchildren, I was talking to their mum about allowing those feelings to come out and be okay, because children will often think, I don't want to talk about this because I don't want to upset mum, or I don't want to upset somebody. And actually, we need to get better at knowing that these feelings are okay, rather than hiding them all away. And as sensitives, quite often we've not had much of a choice. I mean, some of us do put barriers up, but for I know certainly for me, I've not had that choice, because those feelings have come out, and
they're insistent, aren't they?
Absolutely. So, and what you see is what you get, really. So it's so important to feel those feelings, and I think when we feel those feelings, we can work through them. They pass. The feelings pass.
Absolutely. And instead of spending the last precious time we have with someone pretending to be okay, or hiding, or that's you were saying about sort of out of consideration, oh no, I'm okay because I don't want to upset you, or sometimes I think sometimes it's nice for people to be able to talk about, I'm not going to be here forever, so this is what I want you to hear. And then I think, my experience, there's a tendency to, oh no, you'll be fine, we have plenty of time, we can always talk about that, sort of, because it's uncomfortable.
That's it, it's uncomfortable. But if we dwell in that uncomfortableness, we miss that precious opportunity, because we don't get that time back, and then that opportunity, that window of being able to say those things is gone.
And being true and being open and having that connection and being in it.
And then that connection can, that can serve as like a connecting bond afterwards, because that person will no longer be there, but the person who's left has that shared experience, that shared memory of, we talked about that, or really? I knew that holiday was so important to him, and the time that we, for example, had ice cream together and we dropped it, or something daft, those small things that we take for just day to day, that can be a really lasting connecting bond with the person who's died.
That's really beautiful. I can definitely see how that's a superpower. And I'm curious, as in how that part of your work turned into the hypnotherapy, and where you're taking that, how you got to where you are is probably what I'm asking.
Okay, so I'm quite open in the fact that I struggled with my mental health for a long
Mm,
time. And actually, it didn't make sense at the time, but looking back, probably a
mm,
lot of that was to do with being highly sensitive.
yeah,
And I think just feeling those feelings
yeah,
just more. So, I would, be more bothered by, how other people felt around
yeah.
me, all of those sorts of things.
Mm,
Um, so essentially, to answer your question, I'd had various, therapies and treatments,
yeah.
and, for whatever reason, they didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and had hypnotherapy, and it was such a life-changing experience
Ah,
that I thought, I want to offer that to other people so that they can experience in it.
mm,
And I think the key for me with some of the other things that I had tried was that I knew I was cognitively aware of some of the things that were bothering me, but they didn't change the way I felt
mm,
inside. Whereas the hypnotherapy did do that. And it took a long time for me to be able to get the opportunity to do my training. Life gets in the way.
it hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, various life events happened, but I got to do my training,
Mm,
and then qualified, and then started seeing clients, and I've witnessed some amazing results for them, because I
mm,
use a solution focused approach,
yeah,
which means basically I don't dwell on the problems.
yeah.
So, and that is so uplifting, because
Mm-hmm.
especially as highly sensitives, when we talk about all of the things that are wrong in the world and what have you, it can be quite overwhelming. And
Oh, yes.
so, yeah, so we talk about the future and how we want our future to be and how we're going to
Mm,
get there. So it's a lot of talking therapy combined with the hypnotherapy. So it's really such a positive and transformative experience. And
ah,
I do find as well that I attract the more sensitive
yeah.
types. So that's
Mm,
lovely for me.
yes. Yes. I'm more and more appreciating getting to meet people who are sensitive, because it feels like there's almost an automatic connection because we have
Mm,
this thing in common. We're finally with someone who gets it.
absolutely.
So there is mm, more okayness about being who we are, I feel. And in your line of work, I can only imagine how important it is that people feel comfortable opening up.
Yeah, and that's one of the amazing things that I've taken from the comments that I've had from the people that I've seen,
Mm-hmm.
that they felt comfortable
Yes.
with me. So I'm the worst businesswoman ever. I approach things from a slightly different angle. So
Mm.
I'm not into, I hate the hard sell or anything
Oh,
like that.
yes.
So
Mm.
I'm not about that at all. Um, and that's been one of the challenges, because I don't
Mm.
find that I can't do the traditional networking
Mm-hmm.
thing
Yeah.
either. But a lot of my clients comment about how they feel safe and how they feel like
Mm.
my gentle approach has been really useful.
Mm.
So I think my sensitivity really helps me in that area.
Absolutely. And I hope you will share your links with us, your website, or whatever we can put in the episode notes so that people can find you if they feel drawn to what you're about and
Yeah.
need this sense of being seen and heard and safe.
Yeah, so that would be lovely. So my website is www.nurture-hypnotherapy.co.uk. My Instagram, I am nurture_hypnotherapy_NE. And I'm on Facebook as well. So, but
we'll
yeah,
put all the links in to make
brilliant.
sure. But I like how you use the nurture, because I think that's so important, because there's so much personal development that's about, changing and fixing and it often feels so hard, like there's something wrong and now we need to fix it or eliminate it or smash it or break it or whatever so that we can move on. And I'm like, oh, my soul, it hurts my soul approaching things from that angle. So the nurture.
Yeah, that was really important to me. So it's for me, it's about hand holding. It's about being with that person and seeing and understanding that person, and a bit like providing the right environment for them to thrive. Because not everybody we don't all thrive in the same conditions in the way that same plants don't. So why should we be any different? So the idea of nurture was just that really gentle enveloping space. And then I'm going to be releasing a new 12-week program, and I'm calling that Blossom. So again, it's not about it's not about being somebody different. It's just having the confidence to be yourself.
Yes.
Basically. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So much. Yes. That sounds so good. And as you were speaking, I was thinking that creating that environment, sometimes that is just the biggest gift we can give anyone, isn't it? Because I like to think that we all contain that thing that we need to grow and move forward. And sometimes it just takes that space where we feel safe, and maybe, someone who can shine a light on things and help us become a bit more aware and take it from there.
Absolutely. And it, a lot of us have busy lives, and when do we get that protected space to be able to do that without any judgment? Or so I'm all for self-compassion as well. And it's about sometimes I've seen women who we have this society conditioning about who we're supposed to be and all the rest of it. Yeah, and where we're supposed to be at certain life stages. And they've worked out for the first time actually what brings them joy, so they can do that or feel okay about setting boundaries in a way that is authentic to them as as HSPs.
That's so good. Is there a connection to the work you do with the palliative care and maybe having that space as well to
absolutely. I think that's one of the most important parts of my job. So sometimes I will go in maybe with a bit of equipment to help somebody do something functionally, and it's incredible that I will go in for one thing and it'll turn into something else, just because you've given, I suppose, that you've given somebody the space, but also B, that you've asked the questions. Because sometimes, it's easy. Everybody, working has got, busy days. It's easier to go in, do the thing and be very task orientated and come out. But I'm fortunate enough that I do have the time to explore that with somebody and really get into how they're feeling, how they're coping, and we'll just give them the space to express how they're feeling.
Ask some of the tough questions maybe, or the honest, the ones that how are you today? You have to say I'm fine almost, but opening it up to being whatever we are in that moment.
Absolutely. And sometimes I don't even I'm conscious that it's happening. It just
Mm,
seems to happen, and the conversations can happen in the most unlikely of
yeah,
places and
yeah,
contexts as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
So
beauty of it, isn't it? To have the sort of general openness to let the magic happen wherever it is.
yeah, and I don't know whether people whether they can whether they pick up on that as well, so they know it's okay to, because sometimes I will, people say, well, oh, well, I didn't know that, or and
Mhm.
you get a whole different experience of seeing the same person.
Yeah. Yes, it creates connection in a new way, I find.
Absolutely. And connection is everything, isn't
Oh,
it? Yes,
yes, yes, yes, yes.
everything.
Yeah, it is. Ah, this is so good. And I'm thinking, do you have any sort of tools or self-care or something that to take care of you? Because it sounds like your work could be a lot. Or are you naturally in a place where you have a, I don't know, groundedness or strength where you can just be in that on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I am a self-confessed nap queen. I do.
Oh, yes, naps are the best.
So yeah, I am a nap queen. I do recognize that sometimes when I've been in certain situations,
Mm,
I need some downtime.
yeah.
Um, and I notice maybe a little bit different from some of my colleagues that when I drive
Mhm,
around in the car between
mhm,
my patients, I have silence in the car. I don't
mm,
have the
yeah.
radio on or any, and
Mm,
I'm looking around at, oh, that's a nice tree in blossom, or
yeah.
something like that. And I do rather like, I've got some little earplugs for the office when it gets a bit loud. But
Mm,
yeah, no, other things that I enjoy doing, I love a sea dip. I've started
mm,
and that really helps. And just really being outside in nature, and all the things that we do tend to do as
yeah.
HSPs.
Yes.
And so, but I sometimes as well is as having some gentle boundaries as well,
Mm,
and that recognition that I'm not responsible
yes.
for
Oh.
everybody else as
Mm,
well, because I find that quite tricky to navigate sometimes,
yes.
because I think we want to for everybody to be well and to be
Mm,
happy, and
mm,
sometimes that's not always our it's not our responsibility for somebody else's happiness.
absolutely. And that was another thing I was thinking earlier. Do you have some kind of overall belief that helps you? I mean, I don't personally think that death is the end. So do you have sort of a philosophy about life that helps you to be okay at the end of someone's life, which is a not easy place to be for most
Yeah,
people?
I suppose well, I have had past life regressions myself.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
and certain people that I feel a certain connection, like I've known them before. So I don't necessarily, it's a bit of a two-sided thing. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily think that death is the end. Um, but equally, I suppose a positive to take from seeing people at the end of life is not worrying too much about the small things, and
Yeah.
trying to make the
Mm,
most of life and
mm,
enjoy the things, because those things that we just take for granted are the
yeah.
things that people who are not able to do them would really, really like to.
Yeah.
So it makes you very much appreciate what you've
Mm,
got, and it puts things in perspective. And but I don't necessarily believe that death is finally the end.
Mm.
It might,
No.
in some other, I'm not quite sure. But I do believe that there are connections that go on afterwards.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, there's so much good stuff in there. And we're funny as humans, aren't we? That we sometimes have to really be faced with
Mm,
how precious our time and our lives are before we start to appreciate them. So in that sense, working in this field, I can definitely see how that's a reminder to be present and to, yeah, drive around without all the noise, but take in the beauty of what you come across and stuff.
absolutely. And
Mm.
sometimes when you meet people, it'll be the tiniest thing that'll bring them joy.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that those tiny things are the really special, important things that a
Yes.
lot of us just, let wash us by because we're busy and what
Yeah.
have you. But it's an important reminder.
I like that. Yeah. That sometimes we're so busy chasing those big moments in life, the
Mm,
promotion or the $1 million or the wedding or the holiday or whatever, that we miss out on all the little everyday magic or beauty or connection or
absolutely. That
mm,
one of the things I always ask my clients is what's
mhm.
been good.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is so that they start looking out for what's been good.
Yes. Yeah.
But quite often I find that when they start seeing me, they want to say, "Oh, it was my birthday last week," or "I'm
Yeah.
going on
Yeah.
holiday,"
Yeah.
and they feel like the small things, like "Oh, I had a cup of tea and it, my
Mm,
favorite biscuit," or something like
yes.
that they feel that that's somehow daft or
Yeah.
insignificant. And
Yeah.
actually, birthdays obviously come round once a year and
Mm-hmm.
holidays not so often,
Yeah.
especially having gone through
Oh,
the worst of the pandemic.
yeah.
So it's those
Yeah.
small things that are really life affirming and that really bring that magic of what it is to experience everything and being alive.
Absolutely. By changing our focus to those little things, there's so much to appreciate. Whereas we cut ourselves off from a lot of that if our sort of mental rule is that to be happy, I need a vacation or it has to be my birthday or so
Mm,
yeah. That's an important one, I find.
yeah.
So, if there's one thing that you would like to pass on to everybody you meet, if you had a magic wand and could zap people with something or a change you would like to see in the world, what would that be?
Oh, I think it would be just knowing that you're enough as you are.
Oh,
Um, and really, that being sensitive is such a gift.
mm,
And, quite often we've been told to toughen up or whatever. So I think it's having that confidence to be unashamedly you and,
oh, yes.
spread that gift far and wide, really, because what we need now in the world is a bit more of what we've got, really, when you think
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's what I'd
Oh,
like.
I so like what you're saying. I totally agree. And I'm so happy that you agreed to come here and share your story because I like to think that the space we create here and talking about our sensitivities, the upsides and the downsides and all of it, that can help someone else be okay in that.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I especially liked how when I asked if you had coping mechanisms, that they were so natural, the ones that you mostly brought up. It wasn't about 10 years of therapy or, having strict routines about making sure to do this and that and only eating or whatever. That we have what it takes. We can appreciate, we can go for a walk or a swim or whatever, and we can take a nap, and we don't have to mentally process things all the time necessarily. We can maybe get better at trusting that things will, that the more we become okay with our sensitivities and start to see them maybe as a gift, that they become less of a burden maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I know in the past, I would worry about getting upset and things.
Yeah.
And now, that's me. That's the way I am.
Yeah.
And I get upset. Yeah, okay. But then, the lots of other positives that come with that, and being upset is not the worst thing in the world, is it? So it also means that I get to experience, just going out for a walk, like, wow, that's so beautiful.
Yes.
So there's always a flip side to
Yeah.
everything, and I think sometimes we think we just have to focus on the good and ignore the rest. But there's a flip side with everything. Everything needs to be in balance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And as you said, if we just let it be, it'll sort of run its course. So where it gets really hard is when we get upset and then spend 3 weeks beating ourselves up for having been upset, right? And maybe that's just me who used to do that. I don't know.
So yeah, and I think as well, I was upset about something last week, and actually what happened from that, me showing that bit of vulnerability, it encouraged other people to come out and say, oh yeah, I've been struggling with that, or oh, I got messages, of people reaching out and wanting to make connection. And I was somehow, I think they felt more comfortable with me because I had
Yes.
been vulnerable as
Yes.
well. So sometimes that is not necessarily a
No.
bad thing.
No. That's the beauty of allowing ourselves to be who we are. It sets other people free to do the same.
Absolutely. That you've put that so beautifully, better than I was trying to put there. Yes.
Yeah, but I got that from what you're saying, because yeah, I think that's and that's what I'm so grateful for you being here helping me do, because that is what we do every time we share our stories, I think. And you get to do that in a very powerful way, both in your work with palliative patients and in your hypnotherapy, where you get to find the solutions and help people to become more okay with more of who they are, maybe.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful balance as well. So I think in terms of self-care as
Yeah.
well, they sort of really complement each other.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So it's not like the day job is a hindrance to do your other work. It seems like it has been a very powerful process or training to become able to do the work that you're doing now, maybe.
Yeah, and doing the hypnotherapy has certainly helped my resilience. But I've
Mm.
been able to bring some of that in with my palliative patients as well, and sort of help them know how their brain works and why they might be feeling certain ways. So they both really complement each other.
Yeah, of course it goes the other way as well. That's a good point. Well, thank you so much for now. It feels like we have really covered some ground, and I hope people who are listening have enjoyed this conversation as much as I have, because this has been beautiful. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. It's been wonderful. I've really enjoyed chatting. Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
And you take care. Bye bye.
Bye.